Well, here we are once again. Welcome to the totally useless tailgate party.
Dun, da, 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 dun, da, da, da.
So
Dun, da, 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 da.
the band is still playing. So we want to thank you very much for joining us in this very special edition of Totally Useless Information with Nick and Roy. I'm Nick.
And I'm Roy, and Super Bowl's like Christmas to me.
It is. You're a huge football fan, aren't you?
Well, I'm not that big. I lost some weight recently.
That's right. Yeah. So yeah, just like
I do love football. Of all sports, I think football is my favorite.
Are you saying you're partially deflated? I'm just asking.
Partially,
Okay,
in certain spots of my body.
So so we've heard. So as we prepare, we want to get you some information so that when you go to that party, you'll be able to be the smartest person when it comes to useless information about football and snacks.
So if that's the case, Nick, where should they tune into?
Gee, that's a great question.
I got a fact right off the bat.
Okay,
Nick. This is the first quarter. We're in the first quarter, folks. The coin toss is gone, and I won the coin toss, so I go first.
That's right. By the way, we use an American coin, so I don't know, maybe it's rigged, but go on.
We used an American coin, and we're using American rules, American football rules.
All right.
Okay? All right, so this is the first quarter. I've won the coin toss. We are using football rules. So at any given time, I can maybe say Nick is offsides or a holding call or something like that.
Right.
So here we go. Fun facts, right? Americans are projected to consume record-breaking numbers of chicken wings. Last Super Bowl was 1.4 billion. This Super Bowl would be 2% more from last year, and reports of 84 million more wings to be eaten at this Super Bowl.
That comes to us.
Poor chickens.
The poor
I blame the cows.
You do. Yeah, but that comes from the National Chicken Council. I could just see like a boardroom full of chickens.
They never fight. They never fight anybody.
They don't, exactly. It isn't fight or flight because they don't have wings anymore.
The National Chicken Council has a flag. It's white.
I surrender. So now you're thinking, well, the Super Bowl is just an American sport. We're up here in Canada. Actually, it's going to be broadcast coast to coast to coast on CTV here in Canada where I am. Roy is in Florida. So we will be able to see the Super Bowl here on the CTV television network all across the country. So the Super Bowl, which aired February 13, 2022 last year, it brought an average audience of 8.1 million viewers right here in Canada. The average viewership figure for the game between Los Angeles Rams and the Cincinnati Bengals marked a slight drop of the previous year's viewings, but the 2022 edition of the Super Bowl, which saw, again, the Rams emerge victorious over the Bengals, was watched by 99.18 million viewers in the United States.
Wow, 99 million, but 8 million in Canada is big. I mean, we're 10. That's a pretty close ratio if you think about it, because we're 10%. 10 times bigger in population than you guys. So that's right. A very close margin. Pretty cool.
It is. With all the chicken wings you guys are eating, you are larger than Canada.
Yes, of course, yes. In many ways. Okay. Crypto is out this year and alcohol is in. During the Super Bowl halftime, Fox announced that all commercial airtimes for this Super Bowl were booked. And they're closed out, and they're sold at an average of $6 million for 30 seconds. $12 million, Nick, for a minute ad.
Wow. You know what?
According to the head ad sales at Fox Sports, that's where we got this information. And lots of those pricey slots went to alcohol companies this year. Thanks, Joe Biden.
Well, you know what? I would consider that a touchdown.
Yeah.
There you go. So you have 6 points. Right now the score is 6-0 for Roy. I'm Team Nick. So stay tuned as you're listening to the totally useless tailgate party. And we thank you very much for joining us as we get set for the Super Bowl this weekend. Now, the booze biz has been waiting for this news that you just talked about for 33 years. Anheuser-Busch, which of course is the parent company of Budweiser, Stella Artois, and even Natty Light, relinquished the exclusive Super Bowl alcohol advertising rights it held since 1989. And now other brands are keen to get in front of the Super Bowl's 100 million viewers, and many of whom are likely to crack open the cold ones as they watch. Now, are you a beer drinker?
I'll have beer. I'm a weird beer drinker. I'll only drink like dark beer. I
Beer,
drink like, Michelob has a great dark beer, and Dos Equis and a couple other beers have really good dark beers. They're delicious.
yeah, I like Great Lakes Brewery. They also make some great beers, some great craft beers, and of course, there's Corona. But
And you guys have Molson's as your Anheuser-Busch, right?
that's right. Molson's and of course Labatt, which is wonderful, wonderful beer. Of course,
Yeah,
because
that's a good beer
it
too.
is. It's awesome. So anyway,
That's where COVID came from.
well, that's what people thought. Most Americans thought that COVID came from drinking Corona beer. So yeah, you guys are real smart. So
we're not too smart sometimes.
further to that, so
Thank you, Joe Biden. Okay.
So hold on. Heineken, Remy Martin, and Crown Royal have spots lined up too. So look out for those spots. You know what? I think that was also a touchdown.
That was a touchdown for Nick, and also a personal foul on me interrupting Nick.
That's right.
But Nick will waive the personal foul and take the touchdown. Touchdown, Nick!
6-6 is the score as you're listening to the Totally Useless Tailgate Party.
Yeah, and if the devil was here, it would be 666 the score. But according to Hungry Fans, what other fans are there?
Right.
America spends over $387 million on snacks, $130 million on pizza, good bet, $2 billion on chicken wings. I mean, chicken wings have gone nuts.
That's $1 billion a wing.
That's $1 billion a wing. Yeah. So just how much do viewers spend on beer in preparation for the big game?
How much?
Americans spend around $1.3 billion on beer in the 2 weeks leading up to the Super Bowl, Super Bowl Sunday. Now that's in 2 weeks, $1.3 billion in beer.
So if I figure this out, if I do the math correctly, every American would have to drink an average of 10 cans of beer in order for them to consume all of that.
But you notice what they said. That was in the 2 weeks leading up to the game.
Okay.
So, most of these people that are buying these big monstrous things of beer, they're drinking beer all the time anyway. They're good. They'll hit up a 12-pack at any time. So
exactly. Now, we said that you're listening to this tailgate party. You may be wondering, well, why do they call it the Super Bowl? Have you ever wondered that? Do you know why it's called the Super Bowl?
I do not.
The Super Bowl.
I do not.
Well, we'll tell you. Well, and the audience.
But I will give you the 2-minute warning for the first quarter.
First quarter. Okay, 2-minute warning. Super Bowl was born in 1967, but the name Super Bowl first appeared in 1969, as did the use of Roman numerals, which, because the game is played in a different year from the season that it culminates, are used to designate in individual games. So in the mid-1960s, Lamar Hunt, the owner of the American Football League team, the Kansas City Chiefs, first used the term.
Very famous, by the way, very famous.
Well,
Lamar.
this is how famous he was. He was also influential because he first used the term Super Bowl, later saying that the name was likely in his head because his children were playing with a Super Ball toy.
Yes.
In fact, it was Hunt's father, Chiefs founder Lamar Hunt, who famously coined the term Super Bowl, even if it didn't necessarily mean to do so. In a word,
so Hunt thought of the kids' ball, but his father, who was probably much older, was playing with his and came up with the actual Super Bowl.
That's right, exactly. All because of a kid's toy.
Is that what you got out of it?
Exactly. Totally.
I believe that's the end of the first quarter.
At the end of the first quarter, the score
is 6-6. Commercials for the Super Bowl are amazing. That's why this is a special commercial for nickandroy.com, because we just opened up something new on nickandroy.com that you need to go look at. Tell them, Nick.
nickandroy.com. You look at the top there. You're going to see the first selection is episodes, where you can catch up on all of every single episode, a full library of totally useless information with Nick and Roy. Right next to that is the brand spanking new. We just had a ribbon cutting. We had a grand opening of the Nick and Roy store. The Nick and Roy
Yippee!
store was amazing. You go in and you can select from any one of the items we have there right now. We have birthday messages where you can send your loved one a beautiful, personalized birthday message with their own little totally useless information show just for that person based on the information from the day they were born. You can
And they get a free card, a free digital card that goes along with it. And you get a free 12-month subscription to our newsletter. And the person you sent it to gets a free 12-month, all for one low price.
You can also do so with anniversary messages. They also get information about the day that they were married. And they also get a subscription to a 12-month subscription to the Totally Useless VIP newsletter. And, of course, a free digital card. This is all a grand opening special, the brand spanking new Nick and Roy store. Go to our website, nickandroy.com. Welcome back to the second quarter of the Totally Useless Tailgate Party. I'm Nick.
And I'm Roy.
And we have our shoulder pads ready to go. We have the anti-glare paint under our eyes to make sure that we can see everything straight, although there's no guarantee with that. And we have our football cups and our cleats ready to go.
Yes, and I have one here. So for the Super Bowl, which is a very, very special game, is there a special football used? And the answer is yes. It's made by the company Wilson. It is handmade, and of course, there's not one, there's many.
Right.
The commemorative Super Bowl football is selling for $250. You can buy your own on the website for Wilson, the Wilson website.
Right.
I guess it is wilson.com. And you can get your $250 handmade Super Bowl football, commemorative Super Bowl football.
What is the name of the trophy that's awarded at the end of the Super Bowl?
Pretty?
No.
Shiny.
Oh, pretty shiny? It has a name, and you know the name because Roy's a huge football fan. What is the name of the trophy? It is the
Vince Lombardi Trophy.
Now, who exactly was Vince Lombardi, right? Because if his name is attached to the most...
He was a Jewish man.
Yeah, he was. Vincenzo Lombardi, Jewish man out of Brooklyn.
Vincenzo.
The trophy was named after the former Green Bay Packers head coach, Vince Lombardi, who died of cancer in 1970. He led the Packers to win their first 2 Super Bowls before passing away, and the decision was made by the NFL to honor his legacy. So when people discuss the greatest coaches of all sports, Lombardi's name always comes up because of how dominant he was. He was the head coach of the Packers, like we said, for 9 years, where he won 7 championships. He's in the NFL Hall of Fame and the Green Bay Packers Hall of Fame. As Lombardi once said, winning isn't everything, it's the only thing. And may not be
right after that, he said, winning isn't everything, it's the only thing. And we're going to win, and we're going to fight.
That's right.
That's what he said.
And according to the Pro Football Hall of Fame, the trophy is made of sterling silver, and it's valued over $10,000.
Wow. I didn't know it was actually sterling silver.
Yes.
Okay. Well,
so hold on 1 second. After video replay, that was considered a touchdown.
No.
Come on. Yeah.
12 points. By the way, folks, we haven't figured out how to get the extra point, so it's 12-6.
That's how useless
Nick
we
has
are.
12. I have 6.
That's right.
Well, who designed the trophy? We know what it's called. Everybody knows what it's called.
Right.
And it's made of silver. So where did they go? They went to a great silver company. Oscar Riedner, Tiffany and Company's vice president of design, created the design for the Vince Lombardi Trophy on a napkin in 1968 for the Super Bowl. I think they should have left it on the napkin. It would have been a lot cheaper. The drawing showed a football in the kicking position on a 3-sided stand. And that's still how the trophy's made each year to be preserved by the winner. And that is still how the trophy is made each year to be preserved by the winner. Every NFL season, the trophy is manufactured by Tiffany and takes 4 months to complete.
Speaking of complete, that was a touchdown.
Yippee! 12-12.
That's right. The score is tied at 12 right now. We're in the second half. Just about. Hey, we have.
Hold on. I'm going to make a call to Vegas. I want to put another bet on myself.
Hold on. So we never told you who our halftime show is because Rihanna is going to be performing at the actual Super Bowl. Today we have exclusively, we flew him in all the way from where he came from. We have Royanna. Royanna will be performing at the halftime show. But in the meantime, back to the game. There are 22 native tribes in Arizona, and the Super Bowl will take place on native homeland. State Farm Stadium was once a cornfield that was essential food source to many native nations. Since 1967, the Wilson Duke has been the centerpiece of each and every NFL Super Bowl. Of these 56 Super Bowls, all 56 have been played on native land. Now, the history of the State Farm Stadium, it can hold 63,000 fans, but they can expand it to 73,000. Now, if they're eating all those chicken wings, they can't.
So they roll out a natural grass playing field.
Yeah.
It's contained in a single 40-inch deep tray measuring 234 feet wide and 403 feet long, rolling on 246 steel wheels, which rest on 13 rails like tracks on the field, the 740 feet inside. And who cares? That's what I say.
Well, you know what?
Roll out the grass, folks. That's all we need to know.
They do. It's actually, you lost count. It's 546 steel wheels, and it takes them 70 minutes.
Penalty
on the play. You have a 5-yard penalty. You go back 5 yards.
Personal foul.
Right, for a wrong fact. So, so Nick gets possession of the ball.
It's a personal foul. I went too deep into numbers.
That's right, you did. Now, this was designed to have the feel and playability of a traditional grass playing surface.
We gave you all kinds of stuff, folks, all kinds of numbers. But the reality is that the field is actually natural grass, but it's rolled up almost like you would get rolls of sod. But this is one big continuous massive roll of sod. It's really cool.
It's a sod story.
Yeah.
Now,
personal foul.
Oh, geez, I knew. I thought, flag on the play. I said flag on the play.
Flag on the play. Offsides. Tailgating parties, folks, are not permitted at State Farm Stadium. So you cannot go there and have a tailgate.
Well, which is why you're listening to the Totally Useless Tailgate Party. We're the only tailgate party in town. Actually, that's not true because they're not allowing tailgate parties on the grounds of the stadium, but there are some local areas around the stadium and all across, maybe all over America, that they are allowing tailgates. Well, there we go. There's the whistle. We are now at halftime. So the score at the end of the first half, it is Roy 12 and Nick 12 with a couple of personal fouls on record. We will be back with more of the second half of the Totally Useless Tailgate Party. But first, a word from our sponsor.
Go to nickandroy.com. You go to the Nick and Roy store. And on the Nick and Roy store, you'll see the personal messages. But what we didn't tell you before was about the new newsletter. It's actually a couple of months old. But this is a fantastic newsletter, folks. It tells you more personal things about Nick and I. It is not like the show. It's not a whole bunch of facts. It's more personal stuff and more things that we like to talk about ourselves that we don't discuss on the show. So go to nickandroy.com, go to the Nick and Roy store, type on VIP newsletter, and get yours today.
For only $19.95 for 12 months, it's less than $2 a month. Up here in Canada, we call $2 coins toonies, and we're a couple of loonies. So look at it this way. It's a toonie for 2 loonies. So go to nickandroy.com and click on newsletter for $19.95 for the year. But for a limited time grand opening special, as we just opened the Nick and Roy store, if you go and you order a birthday or anniversary message, we're going to throw in, not only are we going to throw in the 12-month subscription of the VIP newsletter, but we will also have a choice of animated graphic e-cards that you can send to your loved one. Absolutely no extra charge. So go to nickandroy.com, click on the Nick and Roy store to find out more. Welcome to the Totally Useless Tailgate Party Halftime Show. And now, we present to you, proud to present, the world-renowned flew all the way from where he came from. Tonight's very special musical guest for the halftime show, please welcome Roy Anna.
Totally useless information. It's everything you never needed to know.
Put your hands together for Roy Anna. Remember, you can purchase all of Roy Anna's album, available on cassette and 8-track. Welcome back to the Totally Useless Information Tailgate Party with Nick and Roy. I'm Nick, he's Roy.
And this is fun, Nick.
We're having a lot
I
of
have to tell you a story. I have to tell you a story about going to a football game with my dad. Well, we went to a football game. It was actually a Giants football game. And it was not at Giant Stadium. They had closed Giant Stadium for construction. And I forget the stadium. It was some college stadium. But anyway, the game goes on. Fran Tarkington was playing in the game, which was really cool. Mm-hmm. And we were sitting there, and it was freezing cold, and it began to snow. And it snowed and snowed and snowed. And we had blankets on us. But it snowed so much that the snow was like 3-4 inches deep on the blanket. So at one point, the people, the whole stadium looked white. And then the announcer said, okay, get up and shake. And everybody got up at the same time and shook the blankets. And it looked like the whole stadium was full of snow. It was so cool. It was really an interesting thing. And I mean, everybody was sitting there with their thermoses, drinking hot chocolate. And it was so much fun. And you end up watching it on the Jumbotrons, which is just so ridiculous. Just stay home and watch it on TV, But the whole thing of being there is kind of cool. Do you remember when we went to the racing thing?
Yeah, that was fun.
The Meadowlands Grand Prix.
Yeah, didn't we see a crash or something? A really bad...
Yeah, sure. Andretti crashed. Mario Andretti crashed.
But let's face it.
That was cool.
It was, but exactly. You know why it was cool? Let's face it. People go to I know this is a football game, but we have a delay on the field right now.
Delay of game.
No, there seems to be a delay because when Roy Anna was performing, there a couple of pieces of stage got stuck in the real grass that we talked about earlier in the half. So we needed just a few minutes to talk to you about the Grand Prix race that we went to. So bear with us. We will resume as soon as they get the stage dislodged from the middle of the field. So that's the downfall, I guess, of having a real grass field. In any event, we went to the Grand Prix, and let's face it, that's why people go to those races, because they want to see the crashes. They're disappointed when somebody wins.
Yeah, no, then it's over. There was no good crashes. You got nothing to remember.
Exactly.
Which team, Nick, has the most Super Bowl wins?
Okay, that's a good question. I'm going to say the Steelers and the Green Bay Packers.
The Steelers and the Patriots.
Oh.
They both have won 6 apiece.
So is that considered 3 points? It's half a touchdown. There's like a field goal. Is that considered
That's
a field goal? Field goal for Nick.
Da, 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 da.
So it's now was it 12-3? Yeah, 12-3 is 15. We can do math. It's 15-12, Nick, right now in the third quarter.
Nick, it's 15-12, Roy.
Oh, sorry, 15-12, Roy. What teams have never played in the Super Bowl, you ask?
Mm-hmm. I have asked. What teams have never played in the Super Bowl?
The 4 teams have never made it to the Super Bowl. The Detroit Lions, Cleveland Browns, Houston Texans, and sorry, our good friend Jay Glinsky, Jacksonville Jaguars never played in the Super Bowl.
Who has the most Super Bowl losses?
Oh, good one.
Well, this one's crazy. The New England Patriots and the Denver Broncos have lost most Super Bowl losses. They have 5 apiece.
Wow.
Yes. The Minnesota Vikings and the Buffalo Bills each suffered 4 defeats in the Super Bowls. Both teams are 0-4 in the Super Bowl. So, I mean, the Buffalo, that was heartbreaking. That's the Jim Kelly years.
That's right. My gosh. So, let's talk about...
I believe, Nick, that I got another 3 points.
Oh, you did a field goal. So the score right now in the third quarter is?
18-12. 18, Roy. 12, Nick.
Boy,
You better get going, Nick.
If you have Nick in the pool and you only have one or two in your Super Bowl boxes, I'm sorry, but hey, maybe I'll make a great comeback in the fourth quarter. As you're
Maybe
listening,
if Nick gets out of the pool and dries off, he can play some football.
And now we're going to talk about which player has won the most Super Bowls. The player with the most Super Bowl wins is Tom Kelly.
Brady.
No, Tom Brady. Quarterback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Brady has 7 wins in his career. I should say, as of this recording, it could change tomorrow. We can easily say it's the recently retired Tom Brady.
Mm-hmm. Very, very true. Which city has hosted the most Super Bowls? Oh. By the way, folks, write these down if you're listening on Saturday, because when you go to your tailgate party, you're going to be really important because you're going to have some facts to throw out at people. Which city hosted the most Super Bowls?
Which?
Miami. It has hosted 11 Super Bowls, with the Hard Rock Stadium hosting 6. The runner-up is New Orleans with 10 Super Bowls, I would assume at the New Orleans Superdome.
Well, this is 2023. Who will host Super Bowl in 2024? Slated for February 11th, 2024, the Super Bowl would take place at the recently opened Allegiant Stadium. I guess that's the airline. Is it named after the airline?
Yes.
Marks the first time that Las Vegas and the state of Nevada will welcome the Super Bowl. You know what? I'm sorry. Hold on.
I believe Nick.
Wait,
Nick,
no,
that's
a flag on. That's offside. That was an offside comment. Why would you slag?
No, that was a fumble on my part.
No,
Nick got the ball back. Nick got the ball back. It was a fumble.
It was a fumble, and I scored a touchdown. Nick scored a touchdown on the fumble on the conversion play.
So it's
16
to 18.
Okay, I counted 16, but okay. It's 19-18. It's a really close match right here as we're just about to come to the end of the third quarter. But in the meantime,
how many Super Bowl games has Arizona hosted?
How many?
Well, it'll be the 4th Super Bowl played in the Grand Canyon State. The first big game was in 1996 at Sun Devil Stadium. The second was played in Glendale in 2008. The third was in Glendale in 2015. So this one will be the 4th to be played in Arizona.
When was the very first Super Bowl? The very first Super Bowl was on January 5th, 1967. The Green Bay Packers beat the Kansas City Chiefs 35-10 at the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum. And there goes the whistle. We are done with the third quarter is over with the score. Nick with 19, Roy with 18. We will find out the conclusion of this Super
1918. That was a good year for Woodrow Wilson.
It was. It certainly was. As you're listening to the totally useless tailgate party. You know, Roy, the other day I was talking to one of my colleagues who went to nickandroy.com, and they said, you know
what was his name, Nick?
His name was Joe. Well, you don't believe me? His name was Joe. And he said to me, you know, we're having breakfast one day, actually, because we work in early mornings, and he's the producer, and I'm the technical producer. And we're having breakfast one morning, and we're talking, and then he loves the show. He listens to us on the iHeartRadio Talk Network, as we are coast to coast in and coast to Canada. We have 3 coasts. And so we're having breakfast, and he said, you know, my mom is celebrating her 70th birthday. And I said, why don't you go to nickandroy.com and click on birthdays, or now go to the Nick and Roy store and order her a birthday message. And he did. Mm-hmm. She absolutely loved it. And why?
So this was a birthday message for Joe Mama?
Joe Mama. It was Joe's mama who, and she absolutely loved it. And what we did was we put together all kinds of facts, use this information about the day that she was born, and we put together a mini show for your loved one. All you have to do is go to nickandroy.com, the Nick and Roy store, and you click on birthdays, and you can order a birthday message. And this is what you get when you order a birthday or even an anniversary message, Roy. What do they get?
You get an animated digital card along with the message, and you also get 2 free 12-month subscriptions to our amazing VIP newsletter, one for you and one for the person who you bought that special message for. Go to nickandroy.com, nickandroy.com, look up at the Nick and Roy store. It's awesome.
nickandroy.com. Welcome to the fourth quarter as you're listening to the Totally Useless Tailgate Party. I'm Nick, and he's Roy, and we are really close. This is a real barn burner. Nick,
I believe that Nick only has 2 timeouts left because he took them. He took a timeout.
Yeah, and actually, not only did I take a timeout, I was given a timeout for various reasons. So as we are here in the fourth quarter, what is the hottest Super Bowl ever? In 1973, it was hot. 1973, Southern California is home to 3 of the warmest Super Bowl games in history. The warmest was Super Bowl VII on January 14th, 1973 in Los Angeles, which the Pro Football Hall of Fame lists as a kickoff temperature of 84 degrees. And that was the matchup that saw the Miami Dolphins, and they defeated the Washington Commanders.
Oh, well, now they're called the Commanders. They used to be called the Washington Redskins.
At that time, yes. So January 14, 1973 was a hot one.
Oh, yes. Well, speaking of hot, what was the wettest Super Bowl?
So you asked, hold on. So we want to find out what was hot and wet?
Yeah, hot and wet. Yep. Mm-hmm. Okay, the wettest Super Bowl was 2007, South Florida, February 4th, 2007. Out of the 11 Super Bowls played in Miami, in 2007's game between the Colts and Chicago Bears, it was affected the most by the weather. 1 inch of rain fell on the Super Bowl stadium with winds gusting over 20 miles an hour. Try that one for a field goal. Roy hits a field goal.
Oh.
It is now 21 Roy, 19 Nick.
Sports. Play ball.
Here's one that makes no sense, okay? The state sport of Alabama. Alabama down south, okay, is figure skating. Alabama's state sport is figure skating. When I think of finesse and ballet-like choreography, I don't think of Alabama, okay? More like grits and collard greens with fat back bacon. That reminds me of Alabama.
But isn't it pretty hot in Alabama, usually?
It's crazy, figure skating. I mean, really, that's probably because they had no other sport.
If you want to travel overseas, why not go over to Gloucester, England? Every spring bank holiday near Gloucester sees the annual Cooper's Hill cheese rolling and wake take place.
Mm-hmm.
Participants line up in groups of about 20 to chase after a substantial wheel of cheese as it descends down a steep incline.
I've actually seen it.
The world's famous event often results in injuries to onlookers.
Mm-hmm.
A great lump of cheese is quite a hazard when rolled down the hill at over 70 miles per hour.
70 miles per hour. That's some fast cheese. Wow. Did you know that when you look at the logo of the NBA, have you've seen the logo of the NBA? Are you thinking about it now?
I am. I see it.
It's you'll see like a silhouette of a guy bouncing a basketball. You know who the guy is? The Hall of Famer, Jerry West. It was actually a picture of Jerry West that somebody turned into like a negative, and they made it a silhouette, and it is Jerry West of the Los Angeles Lakers.
Well, what I find interesting about the huge basketball fan that I am, what I found interesting about that logo is, if you look at it, it looks like he's dribbling from either side.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Dribbling on the left or the right. Really quite well done on
But
the
I
NBA.
noticed most out of it, the little slice of apple in his mouth.
It might be a little outdated right now, but the annual wife-carrying world championship happened in Finland with great fanfare, and the prize is dependent on the wife's weight in beer. Contestants had to carry their wives over a series of obstacles in the shortest amount of time. Different lift techniques were used, ranging from piggyback to the fireman's lift. The annual wife-carrying championship in Finland, and the prize was the wife's weight in beer.
The wife's weight in beer. Wow.
Right.
So we got apples in the armpits, flying 75-mile-per-hour cheese, carrying women around just to get a beer. But it would pay off if you had some big portly wife. No
Exactly.
joke. Portly. Table tennis seems like a nice sport for the elderly, doesn't it? You always see table tennis in like retirement homes, right?
Yeah.
Nonsense. The ball travels off the paddle in speeds in excess of 105 miles per hour. When interviewed, an elderly man said, "My balls haven't gone that fast since my 69 Corvette."
His balls are traveling 1.5 times faster than the rolling wheel of cheese in England.
And then he said, "It's snack time. I have applesauce."
You are of German descent, right?
Yes.
You're fluent in German, are you not?
Ja. Sprechen Sie ein guten Deutsch?
So when I say to you, Fingerhaken, what am I saying?
In German?
Yes. Fingerhaken. Yeah, it's a tradition. Maybe because it happened in the 17th century, so you weren't around then. In the Alpine region of southern Germany and Austria, there's Austria again, as a way to settle disputes. It's the professional finger pulling competition.
Mm.
Finger pulling.
Is that what your wife does to start the jacuzzi? That's another episode, folks. Don't worry.
So the finger pulling is no laughing matter in the Alps, okay? This is no laughing matter. Finger wrestling was once used to settle disputes, but it's now a competition that is taken quite seriously by the contenders. The winner is the person who manages to pull the other contestant's finger across the table using only his or her finger, as I said. Contenders pick their digit carefully and subject it to rigorous training involving crushing tennis balls and doing one-finger pull-ups. Professional, not amateur, these are professional finger-pulling competitors in the Alps.
And now back to the totally useless Super Bowl tailgate party.
Up here in Canada, I might as well tell you about the coldest Super Bowl in history. It happened in 1971 in the Louisiana Superdome in August of 1971. The Super Bowl VI was played outdoors at Tulane Stadium in New Orleans on January 16th, 1972. The high temperature for the day only reached 43 degrees, which is far below the average January high of 62. And in that game, the Dallas Cowboys defeated the Miami Dolphins 24-3, and because it was so cold, all their balls were deflated.
Balls were hard as a rock, I tell you. That's a personal foul, Nick.
It is.
15-yard penalty. Roy gets the ball.
All right.
So, Nick, you did the coldest. I'm going to do the windiest. Pasadena, California on January 20th, 1980 is one of the 5 windiest in history. According to William Schmidt of the Southwest Regional Climate Center, he's a very important man. He has a bunch of names to the place he works at. That day had gusts of 30 miles per hour out of the northwest. Wind gusts of 29 miles per hour were clocked before the kickoff of Super Bowl 50 in Santa Clara, California, on February 7th, 2016, but conditions changed right after the kickoff, and it got much calmer during the game. Think about that, Nick. It would be very hard to kick a field goal.
Sure.
30-mile-an-hour winds fighting you, Very, very wild, yeah. That information comes to us from the USA National Forecast, the Weather Channel, February 8th, 2023. Which is my birthday. Da, 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 da.
And that's the whistle. That is the ball game. Well, there you go. We have a winner. We have a champion. The 2023 Super Bowl totally useless champion is Roy, birthday boy Roy, with a final score of 21. What was my score? 18? 21 to 8.
19.
21 to 19. So that's why I lost.
I just want to thank all of the fans, and I want to thank the team. It's all about team. There's no I in team.
You forgot to thank.
And I'm going to take this Vince Lombardi Trophy and put it along with my mom's old silverware.
That's right. Sterling. Hey, wasn't Sterling your mom's maiden name? No, it wasn't. Well, that's all the time that we have. We thank you very much for joining us. We hope you enjoy the big game, the Super Bowl that's coming up. And we really appreciate you listening to the Totally Useless Information with Nick and Roy. We put together something really special for you today.
Don't eat a salad or anything like that. Go for the gusto. Bring the hot dogs, hamburgers, potato salad, chicken wings, pizza. Do the junk, guys. It's one day out of the year where you get to flex your muscle and tell your wife it's junk food.
Join us next time for more Totally Useless Information with Nick and Roy. I'm Nick.
And I'm Roy.
Thanks for listening.